Hi, everyone. My name is Min Sun. I am a faculty member from the University of Washington. I am also the co-founder of Colleague AI. We are very honored to have this opportunity to co-host this event with Federal Way Public Schools. Haley?
And my name is Haley Spawn. I am currently a middle school math teacher at Nautilus and Federal Way. I also have the wonderful privilege of being on the teacher expert panel for Colleague AI while we trained the platform. Today's learning objectives. The learning target is that we are learning to create prompts that use Colleague AI to improve our efficiency and enhance student learning. You'll know you're successful when you can identify 3 specific tasks where Colleague AI can reduce your workload and improve your work efficiency. And also when you develop prompts that effectively leverage Colleague AI's ability to assist with the 3 tasks you've chosen. And finally, identifying 2 common problems with AI generated responses and developing strategies for fixing these issues.
And today we will start with an overview of a state and district AI framework and best practices. Then Haley will lead us through a warm-up activity in about 3 minutes. And then we will work together to introduce you 3 prompting strategies. And we strongly encourage you to log on Colleague AI platform. Then you can copy and paste the prompt we introduced today to see the response yourself. And then after that, we will organize a choice station. You can practice, ask questions of what you learned today. And then last, we will introduce additional learning materials if you are interested in continue to sharpen your prompting techniques.
Okay, so for the warm-up task, I want you to think of 3 things you need to prepare for the beginning of the year. And I know all of our minds are directly going to go to setting up our classrooms. However, we want to shift our focus to what AI can help us with today. So things you might choose to focus on are planning, grading, and communication with students and parents. So go ahead and think of those 3 tasks you need to do to prepare for the beginning of the year.
Well, we will start to introduce the first prompting technique. It's called zero-shot prompting. And for when we introduce each of the technique, we will offer you an overview, and then we will do a use case modeling. So what is zero-shot prompting? Zero-shot prompting is the simplest and also common prompting strategy. It offers just the instruction and the context. And to write effective prompts, you may want to give the AI a role. For example, you are an expert teacher. You are an instructional designer. In that way, you also give teachers the skills, knowledge as well through giving it a role. And the second is offer instruction to the task you want the AI to perform. And even better if you have a goals, you have a context, you have steps. But this will be one example. For example, you want the AI to generate tasks related to universal design for learning. And you may want to give the AI some basic principles of what is universal design for learning. And so this is always quite helpful for the AI to be able to generate information that is relevant to your request. Last is this is also oftentimes overlooked by educators. You can even specify the output, what you like the AI to output the response for you, such as output in a table or output in a paragraph with 5 sentences. So with that, Haley is going to walk us through a specific use case.
So for this specific scenario, I want you to think about if you're wanting to create a strong classroom community. And as a middle school teacher, my scenario is that oftentimes kids are too cool to participate and to be vulnerable. So when I'm writing this prompt in Colleague, I would say something by giving it a role like you are an experienced educator and a classroom management expert, because I really want that engagement. And you're an expert also in welcoming and inclusive classroom cultures, even when students might be reluctant to participate or show vulnerability. In the next section, I'm going to give the task and context. So I'm telling AI, your task is to design a set of beginning of the year activities. So I'm being specific what time of year, and I want it to help build a welcoming classroom culture for an eighth grade class. I'm also being specific with the grade level, where
Mm.
students are often too cool to be vulnerable and actively participate. The strategies should set the foundation for a classroom culture where every student feels valued, connected, and an integral part of the community. So I also gave my why in the context. The last part of the prompt would be the specific output I want. So in this case, I'm going to say list 10 activities that can be implemented in the classroom at the beginning of the year with a group of eighth graders that are too cool to be vulnerable and actively participate. Avoid any activities that have been overdone or will be seen as fringe by my students. Include brief descriptions of how each strategy will help every student feel valued, connected, and an integral part of the community. As you see, I repeated myself a couple times just to really hit home those really important parts that I want from the AI. So if we click on the logo, this is what popped out when I wrote my prompt. And I always make sure to tell it to give me multiple activities or outputs so that I can choose. So, for example, two truths and a wish, I feel personally is overdone and I haven't had success with. But if I go down and read all these other wonderful options, classroom interviews where you pair up students and have them introduce themselves and practice active listening and
Mm.
finding common ground, I absolutely love that one because it's something that they're really going to be engaged in. And there's other activities that I can use or use at a later date.
And in this example, we also wanted to emphasize the importance of sharing URL here. As you see that we click the icon, which is a URL, and if all the person that you shared with also have a Colleague AI account, once they logged in, they click that link, they will see the entirety of the chat history you had with the chatbot. It served two purposes. One is easy for you to share, collaborate with your colleague. Your colleague can also recommend you in terms of how do you improve your prompt to generate more useful information. And you can also learn from your colleague of how to write effective prompts. And second is really to increase the transparency of your work. We're not afraid of using AI, but we also wanted to be transparent of how we use AI in our work. So with that, Haley, is there anything else you wanted to emphasize? We're ready to move back to the slide deck.
Perfect. Let's move back to the slide deck.
Mhm.
So we're going to have you copy and paste into Colleague the exact prompt that I just walked you through. And this way, Min's showing us just copy and paste it. It's not going to necessarily have the same output every time. She is choosing the other chatbot, Charlie, and Claire is the other option. AI is going to use its creativity and background knowledge to always give the best response. So it might not be the same as the first time I put it through.
And while you are copy and paste trying this prompting technique, I also wanted to briefly introduce you, as Haley mentioned, that we have two chatbots, Claire and Charlie, and this is a prompt that we offered to Charlie. And you can click this link to see the entire chat history as well. And so let me click this. As you see that the differences between Claire and Charlie is Claire has existing prompts. As you see here, those are very popular common instructional tasks or school management tasks. We just have a built-in knowledge. And if you click any one of these, and Claire already have contextual knowledge. So our goal is you don't have to prompt offer that much context as you would have if you use a general purpose AI chatbot. Then the Charlie has a whole lot more advanced AI capability. For example, in that example in the slide here, it has a web scraper that can read a web link, and it can go to external website and such as utilize Google or some other search engine to search the latest information for you. It can search both text and image. It can generate an image based on your prompt here. Charlie is also able to utilize other external tools such as like math expression evaluation tool to evaluate the mathematical calculation and mathematical knowledge in its own response. So this is the differences between Charlie and Claire. Most importantly, all the chat history are automatically saved. You can modify the title here as well to help yourself keep track of your prior conversation with either Claire or Charlie. And the second prompt technique we want to introduce is called one-shot or few-shot learning. And based on its definition or title, you may already recognize. And in addition to the instruction and context of the zero-shot prompting technique, we just introduced, the one-shot or few-shot learning is we offer one or multiple examples of what we like the AI to imitate. And this technique is often utilized when you want the AI chatbot to perform somewhat complex tasks, in which that you want the AI to learn the pattern of the data before it perform the task for you. For example, like a zero-shot one. In addition to define the role of the task the AI need to perform, you give an example. And the few shot here is your ultimate goal is to ask the AI to classify. I can't stand this traffic, this sentence. Instead of directly ask it to classify the sentiment of this sentence, what you may do is to offer 3 examples. They each represent a different scenario. Ask the AI to learn about the patterns in this data, and then utilize the patterns it learned in combination with the instruction you offer to perform the task. So with that, I will pass on to Haley to talk us through an example.
So in this scenario, like I've said, I'm a math teacher in middle school, but I wanted to show the relevance to everyone. So I picked an ELA example. My students have a hard time, and you could insert whatever Common Core standard you feel appropriate. This one I chose nuances of language and literature. They have a hard time with it each year due to a foundational knowledge gap around figurative language. And I want to create a set of do nows as a way to embed spiral review around the topic. For the prompt, I, again, am very specific in which grade level I'm using. My 9th grade students often struggle with understanding and the purpose and the effect of figurative language, such as similes and metaphors, each year due to foundational knowledge gaps around the concepts. I want to create a set of do now questions as a way to embed spiral review. And I'm also adding the context that I want them to be fun, relatable, and accessible for my multilingual learners. For example, after presenting the simile, the sun is like a big yellow ball, explain how the simile helps us visualize the sun and enhance our understanding of the scene. Generate 10 similar questions that prompt 9th graders to explore how figurative language like similes, metaphors, and personification contribute to imagery, tone, and meaning of the text. And so if we click on the logo, it's going to bring us to this prompt with AI. And as you can see, it gave me 10 options. If you want 10 options to give your students, you might say, give me 20 options so you can pick which ones you like and which ones you don't like. And later we will get into another style of prompting where I could then say, give me an answer key for this, and just interact with the AI to get exactly what I need.
So with that, very briefly for the few shot learning, and you can again click this URL, I'll link the icon here to get to the example. And why don't we do it right now? So here, the prompt actually is write a standard-based rubric for this given standard, then for this assessment item. And I just lay out these mathematical problems, and then I say, by following the example in the text image here, this is an image of the rubric I create, as you see, for different standard, for different assessment item. And then I want the AI to follow the same skill level as here, and as well as learn the pattern of how I created the statement for each of the skill level, as well as the examples that I offered for each of the skill level that further justify, further explain the statement as well. And then the AI will follow exactly the examples as well as the statement to generate rubric for the assessment item as well as the standard I specify here. Again, once you offer examples, it's more likely you will generate something that is very similar to the example that you offer. So with that, we can do a copy-paste example again.
And so as Min copies and pastes this, I'll remind you that it's not always going to pop out with the same responses because AI is using its creativity and background knowledge to create the best response for you.
Yes, and it also depends on whether you use Claire and Charlie. You may get slightly different responses as well, just because they utilize slightly different AI models. And we are here. The last prompting technique we wanted to introduce to you is chain of thoughts. And chain of thoughts is oftentimes human users break down one complex task into step and into a procedure. And while human can also interact with the AI to complete those tasks. And it often combined with some previous two prompting techniques, right? You can utilize these multiple techniques together. And this is when in the situation you really have a quite complex task you want the AI to perform for you. And this chain of thought, sometimes called a step-by-step approach, really help you to lead the AI to get to more accurate, more relevant response for you. So with that, I'm going to pass along to Haley to walk us through one example.
So sometimes we want to start with a question we already know the answer to just to see where AI is at with its information that it is using. So in this example, we would say how to write a useful and informative IEP. If you are an IE or a special education teacher, you already know how to do this, but you're assessing to see where the AI is at and what information it is using. Then once it gives you that response, you can reply back to it and give more specific information if you're happy with its background knowledge. Again, we always want to be confidential, so we are using the fake name Charlie in our second response. And we would say, Charlie, a third grader, has an emerging concept of multiplication. She can find answers to multiplication problems using a multiplication chart and using blocks, but does not currently have any facts memorized. As the special education teacher, you have the option to add modifiers to the goal to make it more achievable and more meaningful for the student. Please create an IEP for her. Again, we are the experts. AI is a tool. You are not using this to write your IEPs. You're using it as a tool to get information and ideas if you are stuck or need help on anything. Based on its information that it gives us, I'm going to reply back and say, this is a good start. Could you create a year-long IEP plan for Charlie, again, a fake name, including essential components that my district asks for, like name of the student, grade level, subject area. Again, we're giving it context and the output that we want. It replies, and I'm starting to think more and more about this IEP and say, actually, today I'm teaching this Common Core standard, fluently multiply and divide within 100 using strategies such as relationships between multiplication and division. Please provide several specific ways to modify this Common Core standard into IEP goals for the student Charlie. And then it's going to give me a bunch of outputs. I say, great, based on your modified goals, please offer me specific teaching strategies that I can support Charlie today in this given lesson. We are all expert teachers. We all have wonderful degrees and educations around these topics, but AI we are using in this context as a thought partner. Sometimes if we get stuck and we don't know what to do or we need new ideas.
And once you click that icon, you see like the full conversation we had with Claire, one of the AI chatbot. And so you can check it out and see how we interact with the AI to collaborate in this task. And with that, we can do another copy and paste.
Yep. And so, depending on your level of comfortability, you could just copy and paste the first line, see what the AI model responds with. And if you feel comfortable, you can interact based on its response. If not, go ahead and just copy that second line and paste it in to see what it says.
Hmm.
And then from there, you can continue to either come up with your own responses or copy and paste just to get comfortable with the machine learning. And in person, we would be doing stations. So station 1 would have a lot of scaffolding to help us. Station 2 would be exploring it by ourselves, and station 3 would be exploring together.
If you recall, our third learning objective for today is to learn how to evaluate your prompt, and as well as to identify common issues, problems, and fix those issues and problems. And we see there are three commonly used criteria in the research literature to evaluate how the prompt perform. The first criteria is called accuracy. Basically, mean that the AI response are factually correct and contain no error. For this, typically you would do is cross-reference to some reliable sources, such as from, for example, peer-reviewed papers, or from a federal knowledge base. You know that those are reliable sources, or from your district website, or from the textbook, right? And just to cross-reference to double-check if the information offered are accurate. And you may, if there are a lot of information, you can just grab a sample and double-check, cross-reference a sample of the response. The second strategy you can do to assess the accuracy of the response is to ask the AI to provide citation URL links so that you can verify. This is a very helpful prompt strategy you can utilize while you work with Charlie. With Claire, we don't ask Claire to generate a URL because she can hallucinate. With Charlie, if you explicitly instruct Charlie to go look on the website, you can ask Charlie to print out the URL Charlie looked at. And so that will be one strategy. And the last strategy is look for gaps in its logic. This is why chain of thought prompting is very helpful, because it allows human users to interact with the AI, verify the AI's response in some of the steps, and to intervene when you discover there are gaps or inaccuracy in some of the steps.
And the second would be relevance. This means fully addressing your original question or request. And for fixing this situation, you need to be clear and specific. So, for example, if you say, give me writing prompts, and it gives you a bunch of writing prompts, and you really wanted creative writing prompts, you have to be more specific. You can also rephrase your questions to be more targeted to get down to actually what you want it to produce.
Thank you, Haley. Let me clarify what I just stated about the differences between Charlie and Claire. The differences between them is just that today and the current differences. Of course, AI improving so fast. What I
Yes.
talk about the inability of Claire to search to offer you URL um, will be addressed, I'm sure, in the near future as well. And so, all this to say that whatever we shared today, just to treat it as current capability and as current status. And we will make sure to update you when things occur. And you also want to keep track of the latest capability or functionality when you log on Colleague AI and see how this different AI function help you at that time. So with that clarification, let me talk about the last criteria, which is usefulness. The usefulness mean the information presented to you in a way that is easy to understand and also actionable. You can actually use those in your own setting. And if you discover that the information offered to you are not useful, there are a number of ways you can work with the AI. One is to experiment with different output format, such as you may want it to give you in a bullet point. You may want it to have emoji or no emoji. You wanted to output into a table versus a text, right? Format. And then the other strategy is make sure you define the AI's role and offer context. This is oftentimes helpful. If you see ninth grader, you probably output or the response in a way that suitable for ninth grader students, right? And so that is why we ask you to define the AI role in your prompt. And then sometimes if prompt is too wordy or AI is too wordy and you can ask the AI to synthesize, summarize, it's easy for you to understand, utilize, or you can ask the AI translate your response into practical instructional strategies. It will do so for you as well. In other words, again, you're the driver's seat. You're the like make sure you work with the AI to output in a way that's really useful to you.
Amazing. And so to finish us off, we will review our learning target. We are learning to create prompts that use colleague AI to improve our efficiency and enhance student learning. And with that, Min will introduce us to the QR code.
Yeah, you can either use this link or use this QR code. We really appreciate your feedback on our session, which will help us to further improve in future sessions. While you are doing that, very quickly, the District Canvas course set offer more learning resources, including today's slide deck, as well as rehearsal video for today's session and other YouTube videos that introduce more colleague AI feature. And then you can also reach out to either one of us or go to info at Colleague AI. We can receive your questions from there as well. You can also join the Colleague AI online community. Once you have a Colleague AI account, you should automatically have an account in our community as well. It's like a forum. You can post questions. You can read other people's question response as well. Once you post questions, either peers on the forum or us will be able to respond to your question. And you can also connect us via social media as well. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.